Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. This is episode 3 of Trib Watch, little short thing I'm doing regarding the times that we're in and my firm belief that we're in the tribulation already. I just want to talk quickly today about the soup du jour, which of course, if you're on any form of social media, would be Ukraine. That's pretty much all I see. And I'm a little surprised, so I just want to point out a few obvious things that maybe people haven't considered. Maybe it'll change your mind, maybe it won't. But I'm not sure where the bloodlust in our countries come from, but it's pretty rampant. And I don't really understand why everybody's so eager to fight Putin and destroy Russia. Like, that probably isn't even possible, honestly. But it's pretty rampant right now. And, we just basically completed 2 really long wars because of 9/11, one of which was in Iraq, which wasn't even for the reasons that we were told, making it one of the biggest illegal wars probably in history. You don't hear much about that though, do you? Anyways, I want to point out some obvious things that maybe hadn't considered. So I get everybody's upset because we've entered a sovereign country, or that Russia has entered a sovereign country in Ukraine. But did you know, since World War II, do you know how many countries the United States has bombed? That number is 36, and I'll be honest, some of those repeat because we drop a lot of bombs, and we're dropping bombs still every day now, particularly in the Middle East. So I'm going to link some articles here too. I don't want to go into all the details so I can keep this short, but I want you to look at my sources because they're mainstream. That's all most people believe, but I want you to believe it to be a fact. Secondly, we have, since World War II, supported regime change in 72 countries, and there's just under 200 in the world. That's a lot. That's a lot. And regime change is kind of a big deal. That means we get rid of leadership and insert one that's friendly to us, which is it's pretty evil to me. And going back specifically to Ukraine, I'm going to link another video here. You'll want to go to about the 107 mark. It is mainstream news footage of John McCain. You've got Victoria Nuland, Obama, and some other Congress people in Ukraine. Because guess what we did in 2014 and 15? You guessed it, we changed the regime there. So whatever's going on now has, I believe, strongly has something to do with that. And I would at least like that to be part of the conversation before we go to another war. That I will not send my children to, by the way. I'm done fighting bankers' wars. I'd also like to ask, for those that are so upset with Ukraine, where was your outrage when we were blowing up Iraq? There's estimates over the last 20 years that we've displaced and killed millions of people right here in this country, the so-called beacon of democracy. Now, I'm not sure about you, but if I didn't live here, I don't think I'd want that exported to my country. Secondly, Ukraine is like Mexico to the U.S., at least geographically. There's historical significances. Obviously, geographically, it's pretty close. It happens to be 5,687 miles away from the place I'm sitting right now, meaning that I just don't think we have any business being there right now. If there's a humanitarian issue over there, we can certainly, donate food, clothing, whatever, money, whatever it may be. But again, let's go back and answer the glaring questions that need to be answered about our war machine. I think it's a time for peace, quite honestly, because we're running out of time. We are in the tribulation, and it's going to become clear enough to all of you soon enough. Man, let's try to get some more time out of this and just be peaceful and learn to love one another again. We do not need to blow up any more countries. We do not need any more wars. I travel around this country quite a bit, and I will tell you, I am saddened by the amount of homelessness and suffering that I see. And when you think about gas prices and food prices, it's only getting worse. These hot real estate markets that we're all benefiting from, well, that displaces people at the very bottom. So they run into a situation where they have nowhere to go. And I was just in like one of the nicest neighborhoods in San Diego about 2 weeks ago. I was stunned. There were tents and people living on the street everywhere. Everywhere. I've never seen that. I've been going out there for 10 or 15 years. So, we just gave $16 billion to Ukraine. Where is the billions of dollars to feed and clothe and help the people right on our streets? And how are we as Americans able to walk by and look at that and then go home and drink all weekend or eat steak? I mean, we have to stop this, okay? You have to wake up and realize that if there is that level of suffering right down the street from your house, then you will not be able to forever live in peace. And that is a fact. It's happened in other countries, and it is going to happen here, okay? We have a pretty bad track record, and in my opinion, for the things that we've done, just say over the last 20 years, and don't get me wrong, I love this country. I don't want to live anywhere else, but we need to be on our knees begging God to forgive us for what we've done. Not only to other countries, but to the people that are our neighbors that are right in our towns. We need to ask for forgiveness. We need to repent, and we need to say, all right, let's start something new. No more war. Let's take care of our own first. And if we need to help other people, not with our democracy by bomb, but by food, by prayer, by money, whatever that takes, then we do that too. But we have to fix our own problems first. Until that is solved, you can count me out on all this other stuff, because I have to tell you, this oil thing that's going on and the gas prices that you're seeing, well, it's going to happen to food. You've already seen increased grocery bills, I'm sure. Did you know that 25% of the wheat in this world and 50% of the fertilizer comes from Russia and Ukraine? Now that stuff is being banned, as well as their oil. How does that make any sense? We're in the midst of the worst inflationary cycle in history, and that's documented. So where do we go from there? How do we stop the suffering? And how many more are going to be added to that? We lost 600,000 small businesses during COVID. And suddenly Putin invades Ukraine and Russia, and COVID goes away. And now everything's about this war. Wake up. Quit watching the freaking news. Read a book, especially an old book. Lastly, we are in the tribulation. You're going to figure it out soon enough, but I'm going to just give you this. I might put it linked down the bottom, but it's the Wikipedia version of this, because I know that most people only trust that as a source for information these days. But it's about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. In Revelation 6, which is the last book of the Bible, it tells of a book or a scroll in God's right hand. It's sealed with 7 seals. The Lamb, which is Jesus, opens the first of those 4 seals, and it summons 4 beings to ride out. They're commonly referred to as horses, and there's one that's white, one that's red, one that's black, and one that's pale. And this is part of the judgment that falls upon the earth for mostly just turning our back on God. But in the book of Revelation, the first horseman rides out on a white horse carrying a bow, and he's given a crown. And he rides forward as a figure of conquest. And a lot of people say he's invoking the Antichrist, which I certainly believe. Also invokes pestilence. And what we just went through the last 2 years certainly could be referred to as that. And as you know, I say it has zero to do with a disease, but it was the reaction to that disease, and specifically the pharmaceutical products that were handed to us. A lot of people have died, and a lot of people are going to die from those products. And I think that's pretty well defined as pestilence. Of course, I never thought it would be self-induced, but it is what it is. John gave us a 40 or 50,000 foot view, and we're living the ground level version of that now. The second horse carries a sword, rides on a red horse, and he is the creator of war. Well, just like that, we got war. The third horse is the black horse, and he symbolizes famine. I have spoken ad nauseum about the supply chain issues that I see coming. I just recently mentioned that the wheat and the fertilizer issue are going to create problems, and I'm seeing a lot of articles from farmers who can't get fertilizer already today. The price of oil is obviously going to impact that, because everybody in the supply chain system, when they get major cost input increases, they pass them down the line, meaning that you're going to see an exponential increase in the cost of food, and people won't be able to afford it. People at the bottom, they just won't. They're going to have to make a choice of filling their car, paying the rent, or eating. How horrific is that? But I hate to tell you, that decision is coming to all of us at some point. So these preppers that you made fun of that are stocking up, well, you better start being one pretty soon, because I don't think it will be long until you'll find it harder and harder and harder to find the food that you used to eat. Those are 3 things that are going on right now. And they should cost you your time. And not to be fearful, just get right with God. He's only asking you to recognize him and to love him only. Love him with all your heart and love your neighbor. And we're not doing a good job of that. And that includes me too. I'm not pointing fingers, but we're not doing enough. If you see homeless tents all over your city that weren't there, find a way to get involved. Even if it's just writing a check, it's okay. You don't have to be a foot soldier if that's not for you. But you're not going to live in peace when there's dramatic suffering in your midst. Because those people, when they get hungry enough, they're going to come for whatever you have. If you've got a big, beautiful house, nice cars, and things that they might feel like they should have had, maybe they'll come for you. And I don't want to see anything like that, but that's what I see getting ready to happen. And the last horse, it symbolizes, man against man. And I can certainly see how that would happen. So just think about this. And before you say the United States is the greatest country, we have it all figured out, consider our actual track record and think about how we can change it moving forward. Let's get some more time out of this tribulation. It's not 7 years. Reread the Bible if you think that. Could be 1,000. And I'd love to have a whole lot more time, because I love living. Be a blessing to the world, guys. Take care.